watching Dante Boxing Nation.
You know what? On Sunday, I'm gonna whip your ass, and you know when you get back to Las Vegas, you'll be on the lookout for the local Teofimo Lopez, because he'll be looking for you too.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So as you guys can see in that clip right there, it wasn't that long ago that George Kambosos, he was telling Devin Haney that when he goes back to Las Vegas, when he goes back to the States, Teofimo Lopez is going to be looking for him. Now George Kambosos is telling Teofimo Lopez to stop being a bitch. Those were his exact words. ESPN, who never ceases to amaze me. Mark Kriegel on ESPN, he did an interview with Teofimo Lopez. And it wasn't surprising that Teofimo was making excuses for why he lost and completely contradicting what he said in the original post-fight interview after he lost to George Kambosos. That's expected by someone like Teofimo Lopez. That is normal behavior when it comes to Teo. But what is abnormal and unprofessional is when old media, when ESPN, when they are going out of their way to make excuses for why Teofimo Lopez lost to George Kambosos. The reporter Mark Kriegel, he didn't even really talk about Teofimo Lopez's next fight. All he did was talk about the excuses that Teofimo Lopez had for losing to George Kambosos. He starts talking about how courageous Teofimo Lopez was to be fighting in the health conditions that he was in. Teo, he claimed that he had some kind of problem with his lungs, and the doctor later on told him that he could have died in the ring, etc., etc. But yet, when Teofimo did his post-fight interview right after the fight, Teofimo, he was talking extremely cocky. He didn't come close to using a health excuse for why he lost the fight. In fact, everything he said was the contrary.
Listen, you're a true champ. Forget the rest. Yo. You got, hey, hell of a fighter, but I won tonight, man. And everybody know that. The referee raised my hand. I won tonight. I don't care what anybody says, yo. I won tonight. Hey, at the end of the day, I've been here. I've done that. I want to thank God. I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. Look, I ain't no sore loser. I take my wins like I take my losses. At the end of the day, man, I'm a true champion. I came out here. I did what I had to do, and I went out there and I did my best.
Now, you heard what he just said right there, right? He said, I went out there and I did my best. He's not saying that wasn't even the best version of me. That was 50% of what I can do at my best. He didn't say that. You know why he didn't say that? Because that was the best version of Teo that lost to Kambosos that night.
Yo, I don't care what anybody says, man. I am as real as they come. And watch, this is the takeover, man. We don't stop. We keep coming. Yo, at the end of the day, man, I love you all. I won this fight.
Teofimo, George, listen, you got to move up, bro, because you're a bit delusional, brother, all right? Listen, I got the belts. I won the fight. I won it clean and clear. Look at your face. But you know what? I give you respect. I came here. I gave you the respect in the ring, and I won the fight. I got the belts. Take it like a champ. Move on. We do it again in Australia. 80,000 people, me and you, brother. What a war we'll have in Australia. Let's do it again.
Teofimo, does doing it again in Australia appeal to you?
Right now, I'm gonna go back to the drawing board. I'm gonna spend time with my son. I haven't spent time with my boy in a long time. I mean, he was just born 11 days ago, and that's really what matters to me. Fam, I've been feeling this for 2 years now, man. They've been draining me the whole time, man. It is what it is. Like I stood here when I should have just dropped the belts like everybody else did when they won all the belts, man. But no excuses, man. I don't want everybody to boo and shit like that, man. I come clean with this shit. At the end of the day, I love you all. Thank you to all my sponsors. Thank you to my endorsements. I appreciate you all.
Okay, guys, so actually I gave Teofimo too much credit because I said originally he didn't use an excuse. But actually he did use an excuse, he just didn't use the same excuse that he used later. As you guys notice in this post-fight interview, he says they've been draining me for years. Draining him for years. Once again, he's not saying that there was anything wrong with his lungs. He's blaming it on the fact that he felt that he was drained. But remember, if he said he was drained for years, that means he's also saying he was drained when he fought Lomachenko, where he got his biggest win. So once again, according to Teofimo Lopez, he beat Lomachenko, when he was drained. But when it comes to George Kambosos, all of a sudden you lose the fight and it's a near-death experience?
But no excuses, man.
Let me play this clip of what Teofimo Lopez said when he was reacting to Lomachenko making excuses for why he lost to Lopez. Now, I'm going to start this clip off playing a clip of what Lomachenko said going into the Teofimo Lopez fight, just to show you how unprofessional and misleading ESPN is. Check it out.
I never show my 100% my skill because always it was some little problem. Now I'm healthy, I'm ready mentally for this fight and I want to win. It will be best fight in my pro career.
He said he was 100% leading up to your fight, and then after the fight he claimed he had a shoulder injury. What's your thoughts on that?
Excuses, you know, sore loser, and someone that doesn't know how to take a loss like a win. You know, you gotta know how to take your losses like you take your wins. You know, you gotta hold it and be understanding. Like, okay, I wasn't the better man that night. You know, and that you gotta be 2 feet concrete solid. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. Like, it's all about just that shows character. That shows where that person is at and where they stand. And I think it's just excuses. I fought Lomachenko with a torn ligament on my right foot, you know, and I had a TFFC, I had a torn on my right wrist, you know, and I had some shoulder problems as well. You never go into a fight 100%.
You never go into a fight 100%. Now let's listen to what Teofimo Lopez said about Deontay Wilder when Wilder lost to Tyson Fury.
He need to focus on his own damn self, go back in the gym. He has too much time in his hands. Get ready for a fight. I don't know if he has a fight lined up. And just stop talking about a dent in your head and stuff like that. It happens. It's boxing. Move on. You're a grown man. Stop being a...
Wow. Those are some strong words.
Some very strong words. And it's just so ironic because George Kambosos said the same thing about Teo that Teo actually said about Deontay Wilder. Let me go ahead and quote exactly what George Kambosos said in response to the recent interview he did making excuses. George Kambosos, he says to Teofimo, "You look great to me an hour before I beat your ass and sent you to the ICU room. Take it like a man, Teo, instead of the 1,500 excuses. No excuses from me when Haney beat me. Take it like a man, bounce back, stop being a bitch. P.S. Good luck in a few weeks against your journeyman." Now let's talk about Kambosos actually challenging Teofimo Lopez to a rematch. Now guys, I want you to think about how rare it is you see a situation like this in boxing. How rare is it? The guy that just won the fight is challenging the loser to a rematch. And the loser is actually turning down the rematch. If you're going to make an excuse like that and you're going to imply later on, which once again, because he didn't make this excuse in this post-fight interview, once he had time to think about everything, that's when the excuses came. And that's usually how it always works. Now, this is not how it always works, but usually your first response or reaction is the honest one. For example, when Lomachenko lost to Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko was extremely honest when he was asked why he wasn't letting his hands go in the first 6 rounds, and he admitted that he felt that he was never in a position to where he could strike and not get caught with a counter. So he felt he was in range to get hit with something, and that's why he wasn't letting his hands go. But then, of course, later on, this is when Lomachenko started talking about how he had a shoulder injury. But that didn't add up because of the fact that Lomachenko was using his right shoulder the whole fight. And that defeats the whole purpose of using an excuse if you're going to keep using the weapon. When you have a real shoulder injury, you fight with one hand. You only fight with one arm, just like Gary Russell did in his last fight. Just like Gervonta Tank Davis did when he fought against Isaac Cruz. And this is why I was telling you guys how disturbing it is when it's ESPN that are making these excuses and constantly contradicting their narrative. You guys have to remember, when Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko, ESPN, they continued to make excuses after excuses for why Lomachenko lost to Teofimo. Now that Teo loses to Kambosos, they start making all of the excuses for why he lost to George Kambosos. But yet when it came to Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, they didn't want to hear any excuses from Deontay Wilder. I mean, guys, can you imagine if Devin Haney would have lost to George Kambosos and he would have told people, oh, I had some kind of problem with my lungs, I couldn't breathe, or, you know, the doctor said that I was lucky to be alive, etc., etc. Do you think ESPN would be doing interviews with Devin Haney acting like his loss to George Kambosos doesn't even really count because of the excuse that Devin Haney used for losing? The crazy thing is, even if it were true, even if it wasn't an excuse, even if Devin Haney was damn near dying in the ring, he's huffing and puffing and you could clearly see that something's wrong with him, ESPN still wouldn't go out of their way to discredit Kambosos' win and make it look like the win doesn't even count. We already know what time it is. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
My name is Chris, and I'm all the way here from Anchorage, Alaska at South Carolinas, and I'm here for my second treatment of SMP. Well, I was sitting at home one day and going over my Facebook page, and they have different, you know, like advertisements popping up, and I saw one for SMP, and I saw some pictures of some guys, you know, before and after, and I was looking at that, and you know, it caught my attention, so I Googled it. SMP, nothing showed up in my area. So, you know, I did a little more research and all of a sudden, Scout Carolinas popped up in the web browser. So I started watching his videos and seeing all the reaction from all the other people. We talked on the phone, we made appointments and everything. I sent him pictures and he looked at them and I was like, can you fix this? And, you know, he pretty much said, no problem. My first session, he made me feel extremely comfortable. It was almost like I was talking to family. He started and during the whole treatment, we talked and, you know, about our families and our life and, you know, and things that he does and things that I do. And before I know it, the first session was over. When you see someone doing something that they love, as much as I see Enoch Glover love what he does, it shows in his work. I wouldn't point anyone in any other direction but here to North Carolina, South Carolinas, to get this done.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.